Welcome peeps, once again classic and classy Japanese motoring shines bright on my channel. No overstatement here, as Yamaha FJ 1200 truly is one of the most solid bikes to ever come out of Japan. If you don't know the FJ, you probably lived under the rock. Either way, just in case, very brief history of the FJ is worth presenting I think, so without further ado, let's just keep going with it. First iteration of Yamaha's flagship took place in 1984. Of course, being slightly different and probably a bit more focused on sport rather than touring, early models featured 1100cc motors, codename 36Y for the earliest models of the FJ 1100. 1986 brings first updates signifying bikes with codename 1TX. From now on, FJ sports larger 1200cc displacement engines. In 1988, 3CV redesigned model receives 17 inches front wheel and 4 piston calipers at front. Fast forward to 1991 and final iteration of 3XW model appears on the market, boasting availability of ABS and new bodywork. Latest generation of FJ 1200 is what we're looking at here today. Good old FJ can probably remember the times of dinosaurs. It's a motorcycle built in such an old school way. And by the way, if you didn't know, there's nothing more cool than old school. And that's the simplest reason why I believe people love it so much. Obviously, the list of advantages is rather long, but number one reason in my opinion is the charming and stout air-cooled engine. To be precise, engine is equipped with an oil cooler, which must help to some degree. Quick look at the spec sheet and we see 1188cc, low compression inline 4 with 16 valves and 2 camshafts. Nothing sensational here so far, but what's interesting is that Yamaha used crankshaft of rather long stroke of nearly 64mm. One would assume that way bores could be kept smaller, providing thicker cylinder walls for better thermal stability of the engine. Smart. Another great benefit of longer stroke of the crankshaft is obviously the torque. Engine is fed by 36mm carbs and power is put to the ground by 5-speed gearbox and chain drive. It's fair to say that this engine is a peach and does just a brilliant job. Durability of well-serviced engine is unbelievable. It's not uncommon for those lumps to reach even 200,000 miles with just clutch changes. Valve clearance is set by shims, and as long as you keep on top of it, not neglecting oil changes, this bike will probably outlive you. Some rattles and ticking noises associated with high mileage air-cooled motor are common. Some say it's even charming. You tell me if you agree. Performance on the road isn't nuclear when it comes to acceleration, but you would never call this bike slow. Falling under the rubric of sport touring is just good enough. Yamaha claims 125 horses, and I had no reason to disbelieve it. Overtaking cars at 80 miles per hour is effortless. Simply twist the throttle and you'll see triple digits in no time.
Right, so let's put some fuel in the FJ and let's see how much it burned. So I've done exactly 80 miles and it was mainly motorway high-speed cruise, and I was doing an average of 85 miles per hour. And let's see what we got. So 90% of it was 85 miles per hour, and I've done 80 miles. And here we have it. 9 liters, 8.92. So I am now in 5th gear, doing 50 miles per hour, and I've got 3000 RPM on the clock. At 60 miles per hour I'm seeing 3,500. At 70 miles per hour I'm seeing 4,000. And at 80 miles per hour I'm seeing about 4,800. Yeah, not bad. When it comes to riding position on the FJ 1200, the stock riding position, this is where the factory handlebars and factory pegs is, not bad. It would definitely suit people who want to commute or even go for longer distances, but ideally for ultimate comfort you would want to raise the bars a bit. If the bars could be an inch higher and just slightly closer to you, say a couple of centimeters closer to you, that combination would give, in my personal view, a perfect riding position for long distance. Not a lot of vibration going for the peg because the rubber covered, so all good there. Seat very comfortable, very plush. I'm being told that you can still get some accessory seats for the FJ that will provide ultimate comfort, but this already is a fairly comfy seat, really soft and long, and also comfortable for a passenger. Brakes, okay, a little bit of a disappointment there. The front brake especially, it feels like it's dull, you know what I mean? You really have to squeeze the lever to get anything from it. So that's for a start. And second of all, I already had one situation where I was going back down from like 120 miles an hour to almost standstill, and I really had to force the rear brake to get in action as well and use both, because that front brake was just not up to par. 90 miles per hour, stable as a rock.
I knew that the engine will be good, so no risen eyebrows here, but particular surprise waited for me in the handling department. Having some riding experience with Yamaha's GTS 1000, I was expecting heavy and slow steering bike, and to a degree it is, but I found FJ needing less effort to steer at lower speeds. Typical slow speed city commute with slow turns and roundabouts was quite an easy thing to do, and the FJ felt fairly compliant. At higher motorway speeds, I had different impressions though. Changing directions wasn't as easy anymore and required little effort and time. Nevertheless, straight line stability was rock solid. 70, 90 or even 100 miles per hour felt stable and steady. Touring screen of very interesting shape does pretty decent job with standard handlebars, as they are somewhat on the low side. Ideally, I would want to see something like an inch higher bars here, but that would probably necessitate higher screen or some sort of extender. At 6 feet tall, I found the standard riding position quite comfortable and acceptable. However, after about an hour and a half of riding on the motorway, slight pain in the wrists appeared. Again, 1-inch risers would do brilliantly here. Stock seat is so soft and plush. I personally found it very comfortable, even lovely I would say. For fussy bumps, however, aftermarket seats were available as well, so check for those on eBay. Removal of the seat caught me out at first, as I didn't know that two levers on its side must be released to lift the seat. We'll live and learn. Storage space under the seat is rather minimal, but you should be able to whack a disc lock there. Small cubbyhole for items of highest necessity is available near the choke knob. Dashboard is equipped with the usual array of gauges and digital clock. Fuel gauge has a reputation of being somewhat not necessarily most accurate, but let's be honest, it's better to have it than not. Safe range of revs on tachometer ends at about 9,000, but as previously stated, this torquing motor works well way below that. Being a well-known mile muncher, FJ has a fairly decent size of fuel tank, accommodating 22 litres. In early versions of FJ 1100, the tank was even bigger. Shame that Yamaha decided to go that way. 24 litres tank would suit the touring character of this bike even more. People also like huge array of touring accessories available for those bikes. Hard top boxes and side panniers isn't an uncommon sight. Full yoke conversions with proper touring bars were also available for long-distance globetrotters. The list of goodies goes on and on. Aftermarket screens, aftermarket shocks and foresprings, or even sidecar conversions. If somehow you're the type of rider who likes extra power, aftermarket support for XJ owners doesn't disappoint. Forged big bore pistons providing higher compression ratio and larger displacement are still available for sale. Heavy-duty clutch packs, blue dot calipers from R1, full swing arm and front end transplant is something what people used to do to make the FJ a proper weapon for the road. Important thing to mention here are the tires. Yamaha dressed the bike in crossbody tires, and radials on the FJ is a bit of a contentious subject. Some say it's the way to go, but others swear crossbody tires are just fine. Nonetheless, choice of new tires is becoming somewhat limited, so it's worth keeping that in mind. Prices of all generations are little on the low side. It always made me wonder why would that be the case, as those machines are so well built and very reliable. Underappreciated motorcycles happen of course in all areas of the market, but that one is a real conundrum. History of the model shows gradually improved product, which in latest form ticks most of boxes for average rider. Ease of maintenance and basic service is another very positive aspect to mention. With huge following of dedicated owners, FJ community is as strong as it's ever been, so worries about parts or problem-solving advice can be simply put to rest. You perhaps want to say that the bike is ugly and this is why it's so cheap, huh? I'd argue that and say that it actually looks pretty cool. I love the colors and its pointy front end with fuel tank being so flat. This fuel tank is so flat that it could actually do a job as an extra seat, I think. Anyway, we all know that looks of the outer shell is a matter of taste and will very much depend, but in my books FJ 1200 is a nice looking motorcycle indeed. So what is it then, making it so cheap? Maybe somewhat weak brakes? Maybe torquey engine which eats tires and chains too quickly? Maybe old school carbs which don't like modern fuel? Or maybe the swing arm which has a reputation of going rusty when motorcycles are used in the winter too much? Come on, it couldn't be any of that, it's all too minor. I dwelled on it for quite some time, and to be perfectly honest with you, I can't figure it out. To quickly sum up the FJ 1200, I must simply say it's a cracking bike. It just is. I wouldn't expect too much interest in this model from somebody who is a 20-year-old motorcyclist, but I see a huge potential in satisfying mature rider or somebody who is looking for a little time capsule to the good days of yore. Well-kept FJ 1200 with good service history will be a positive surprise to new owner, offering decent traveling comfort, acceptable performance combined with reliable running on minimal budget. I often mention budget in my videos, but this time cheap motoring shows its true meaning. Considering what those bikes are and what they sell for, I would call purchase transaction of one of those motorcycles as daylight robbery. Let this be the punchline of this video. Thanks for watching, till next time.